Tyree Wilson is the pick at number 7 for the not the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I always keep making that mistake. And here to react to this, Dennis Ackerman, host of Believe in Raiders. A bit of a surprising move here. I figured that this was going to be the second defensive player off the board with Tyree Wilson. There was a possibility he was the first. A big, talented, strong kid, very, very powerful, very disruptive against the run, super high ceiling, Dennis. And I think his impact is going to be seen in a couple of seasons. But as you were just saying to us, the Raiders need help everywhere. They need help in so many different spots, and they failed multiple times at trying to find this next edge rusher. So you're getting him to play alongside Max Crosby. Dennis, your thoughts on them getting a defensive end in Tyree Wilson?
Well, I thought they would go corner with this pick. I really did. I thought Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon was going to be the pick. But look, they need help at all three levels up front, the linebackers, the back end, the secondary. It needs a complete overhaul. The one playmaker that they have is Max Crosby. You can make the case Nate Hobbs is a solid slot corner. But outside of that, they don't really have any other starting cornerbacks right now. Rocky Sean, they let go. They re-signed Faison along with David Long Jr. I mean, those guys aren't going to move the meter. They're not difference makers on the back end of that secondary. So they need help everywhere. They signed Chandler Jones last year. He was really a disappointment. So if this guy can come in and make an immediate impact. I mean, the Raiders were one of the worst teams when it came to sacking the quarterback. So, whatever draft position, whatever position they addressed on the defensive side of the ball has to be an upgrade from what they have last year. And honestly, from the years past, this defense has been dreadful and I'm not joking, but the last 2 decades.
Well, I mean, Joe, this is the ultimate testament to best available versus drafting your need.
Yeah.
Right. I get, Dennis is spot on in my opinion on what he's saying. But if you want to look at a pick and just say best available versus what we need as a team, you're not going to find a better pick than this right here. Because Tyree, look, we saw him in the Big 12. A lot of teams had a lot of issues, and there's a lot of good O-linemen in the Big 12. So when you look at him as a whole, I think it's a fantastic pick as a player. You get him on the other side of Mason Crosby. Now Mason Crosby's not going to have that help that he once had. So our offensive lineman would give to double team him, things like that. So I think it's a fantastic pick. And I'm glad that Josh McDaniels didn't go offense, which a lot of people thought that he would go. Good to see that Bill Belichick rubs off on my man here a little bit, huh?
Well, look, guys, let me say one thing. Joe, I love the fact that you went Oakland because that's near and dear to my heart instead of where they're playing now. Blake, you actually meant Max Crosby, not Mason Crosby. I hope it's not Mason Crosby, the kicker for the
He might be a good edge rusher. You never know.
Dennis, we've literally done 10 of these videos in 10 minutes, so my brain is working.
I get it.
I'm Adam Schefter, okay?
Yeah, I get it. You know what, Blake? Here's the thing with the Raiders, and I just mentioned this. They have 4 picks in the top 100. For Stanford Route and I on our Believe in Raiders podcast is like, okay, maybe in the second round you take a quarterback. No way. I've rethought this. Those 4 picks all need to be on the defensive side of the football. That's how bad this defense is. They just need an infusion of talent. The quarterback can come later. I mean, they got Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 years. They need to find talent in this draft on the defensive side of the ball. So I would hope and I would expect, but it's hard to trust this regime, the different regimes they've had, whether they've been in LA, Oakland, or Vegas, making the right selections. As you said, they took the best available player on the board. Now they got to continue to do that with these next 3 picks, all coming within the top 100.
Fantastic.
Final thought on this. I really think that this is a strong pairing, too, with Crosby and Wilson. And one of my knocks on Wilson is that he loves blowing up blockers. He's so good at disrupting blockers, tight ends, offensive linemen. He's so strong, but he's not great at hitting home. And I think that actually works well for him to step into a situation where he's got a pairing of a guy who is productive as a producer, as a sack artist. And he can be that distraction like Blake talked about, take attention away from Crosby. And you have a guy who's just eating up blocks, taking up space. That is what Tyree Wilson's going to do. Hopefully the foot injury that he suffered, the Liz Frank injury that he suffered, he can recover and he'll be available. But Dennis, we really appreciate you joining us. Make sure you check out Believe in Raiders, and we'll see what the Raiders do the rest of this draft.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Dennis. Sorry about the misnames.